Hello, everybody. Hey, what's going on? My name is Nate, the lawyer. I'm trying to still make sure everything is all set up here. Welcome to the show. I know we said we're going to start at 9:15, but we started a little earlier today. Just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Yes. Thank you. This is our weekly thing. So, Law Nerd in the house. Hey, I saw Emily's show today earlier. It was actually really good. Oh, she was really good. I decided water with lemon and skip the caffeine. Well, thank you all for being here. And I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people here because of the whole Katie Joy, Toddy Westbrook thing. But we plan on talking about that and a couple other hot topics on the list. But before we get into that, let me bring in my co-host and guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Uncivil Law. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing well, man. I'm happy to be here as always. Happy to get my law nerd on. Talk about all the law subjects. So much law happening all the time. We can't keep up, Nate. They keep doing things. People keep doing things and they add to the pile. Maybe everyone could stop doing things for a while and then we could catch up on the law.
That would be interesting. Interesting.
Could everyone just not do anything illegal or a civil infraction tomorrow? Give us a day off. Give everyone a day off. That'd be great.
Nah, but we love this thing. We love this thing. We love this.
Yeah.
You know what? So to give people some time to get inside here, because I know everybody wants to probably hear our thoughts on the without a crystal ball, Toddy Westbrook situation, right? We want to hear what they're talking about that. So let's start off with something else because we just started a little bit early. Have you heard about this whole GameStop?
I have heard about the GameStop. Yes, I've heard about the short squeeze. I think it's hilarious. I don't think it's illegal. I think watching the big hedge companies get run over is hilarious, even if some other hedge companies are profiting because they can see what Reddit writes too, right? So they're also on the back of this. So some big players have made some money off this too. So
you know, I think most people don't understand. Like they'll say the big companies are losing because it's shorting, but don't understand like the process. Shorting stock essentially is you're betting money. You're betting on the stock losing money, and it's a simple process in which this investment company, Melvin, I think it is. What's the name of the company? Melvin Capital.
Yeah, sure.
They saw GameStop and said, "This is looking like Blockbuster Video, right?" When you go to a GameStop, you see CDs and DVDs on the counters. At the end of Blockbuster, that's what you saw before it started going to streaming, right? But now you can stream games. So they said, well, we'll borrow a whole bunch of stock in GameStop. And what we'll do is we'll borrow that stock and we'll bet that it will lose money, that it's going to lose money because people are going to be streaming games. And then we'll buy it back later at the cheaper price, making a profit. But what the problem happened is that it got so cheap that it allowed like all these everyday investors just to buy it all up in large quantities at real cheap prices, sitting it to like what $300 a share.
Yeah, it was
like $6 a share.
The company was briefly worth more than Delta.
Yeah, it's insane. But all of this is because it's weird because when I was researching this, there's kind of like this negative feedback loop when it comes to shorting, in which if those big hedge funds start shorting a company like GameStop, every share that they had was shorted. So they had like 100% shorted. So they shorted it all because they said this company is going to fail.
Which is probably right because that's a reasonable prediction. GameStop has been in trouble for a lot of years as a company. Their business model has been in trouble for a lot of years. They suck as a company. Basically, they suck. And the market's saying, this company is going to fail is probably the right prediction.
Yeah.
So,
But the problem is that I don't think they got out in time because then when everybody started buying, because don't forget it was at $2 a share, something like $3 a share. So 100 shares is like $300. So, people are grabbing up all those cheap shares. They're all leveraged. As soon as the price goes up, then think about this. So if you bought it for all those hedge funds that bought it at $10 a share, hoping it goes down, and now they gotta pay $300 a share for that. They've lost all of that money, right?
Yeah, sucks
all
to
of
be
that
them.
money. Yeah, it's but we'll see. We'll see. What do you think about the fact that now these what is it? Robinhood, how those companies stopped people from actually selling their shares in they stopped people from buying shares in all those stocks that were performing like this. But they said it's not market manipulation. They just want to stop people from buying those stocks.
Yeah, so here's my thoughts. First of all, I did take a look at their user agreement, and their user agreement does allow Robinhood to prevent buying and selling of shares or particular companies. And so I think Robinhood can do it. So putting aside that issue, on a more practical level, I don't like it because I think everything that the Wall Street bets people did was legal, because it's the weirdest pump and dump ever. Because normally in a pump and dump scheme, you are saying the stock is worth more than it really is, but you're trying to convince people this thing is worth more. So you're artificially raising the price, trying to convince people that's the right price. But the Wall Street people didn't do that. They said, we know this is the right price, but we're going to inflate it anyway to burn the hedge people, make them suffer and die. So yeah, I think it was probably legal. As best as I can tell. And even Reddit, even Discord that took down the group, said it was because of, what did they say? It was because of hate or harassment or some BS that they came up with, which is totally not the reason.
Too successful, yeah.
Reddit, I think, suspended their account for a while. I'm not sure if they're still suspended, but I think it's kind of crap, because I think the Wall Street bros kind of played the market, literally, in both senses of the word. And yeah, so why not? Let's buy some Blockbuster shares, and buy some BlackBerry shares, and buy all the other companies that are worth nothing. But let's see if we can make BlackBerry great again.
So you're confident BlackBerry great again. So you're confident BlackBerry. Well, what about the movie theaters? Because see, I've invested in the movie theater chains, but mine was more practical. Movies are coming back, right? Those were multi-billion-dollar industries per year. Those are coming back, right? We're just at a pause until we can get the virus under control.
The movie theaters?
Yeah, like IMAX. You don't think we're going to be watching movies in movie theaters anymore?
I don't think it's going to be the business it once was. I don't think they're all coming back. I think movie theaters, because of people was getting big screens and big systems and HD and all the rest of it, I was kind of lagging. And I think I don't think it's going to come back the way it was. So I don't think the business is disappearing, but by the same token, I think it's going to be less prominent than it was.
So the next you're a Marvel. Are you a Marvel fan?
No, not particularly. I don't like superhero movies. After the 18th one, I couldn't deal anymore.
Oh yeah, that's love right now. But I'll say this: I think going to the movies is more of an experience than, because most people have the stuff you have in your house is better than anything they had maybe even 10 years ago, right? It's because technology is so forth. But
yeah,
I would say that going to the movies is an experience. The popcorn, the sitting with other people, that type of thing. And I think people do miss that.
I can make popcorn here just fine, man.
I don't know. I'm going back to the movies. As soon as one opens up, I'm going back to the movies. So.
Okay.
I'm telling you, man, the movies, I think movies are going to be coming back. But anyway, so I've invested in the movie theaters, and it's, so I'm hoping that it, doesn't have to come back exactly where it's at, but somewhere close. But GameStop, though, I would have never, or BlackBerry, I think those are those are gone. So those aren't coming back. The next
BlackBerry is done. I think they didn't they go into bankruptcy or whatever, but yeah, they're done.
I don't know.
GameStop is on the way out for sure. Because of the coronavirus, there's a lot of businesses that are going to fail. If JCPenney still has any legs, they're likely to fail at some point in the near future.
I think a lot of these movies, I think a lot of these businesses were already failing.
Yeah.
But this has just accelerated them. Like really, like JCPenney's and the rest of these retailers. Amazon really already did them in. It's just over time that they were just, that I think the market just caught up with them.
Sears already failed. JCPenney's on its way out. Macy's is still doing okay as a company. But yeah. It's not what it once was.
But they're all moving online. They're all moving online. It's evolve or die. That's the business model. That's what we're talking about. But so at the end of the day, you see AOC and Ted Cruz, they all have joined forces to denounce Robinhood for doing this. So
yes, and AOC can't have any of that because Ted Cruz tried to murder her. So Ted Cruz says, I completely agree with AOC. And these are two people with somewhat different political ideologies who completely agree on an issue. So it should be a time for coming together and passing a broad bipartisan bill. But AOC's like, no, you can resign because you tried to murder me last week. So you're not necessarily helping here, AOC, but okay. No, I like Tom Cruise. I like what's his name? Help me.
Who?
Senator Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz. Yeah.
I was stuck with Tom Cruise and I couldn't escape it.
You said Tom Cruise. I was like, Tom Cruise.
I was like, I was stuck in my mind. I couldn't get past it. Yeah, Ted Cruz. I think Ted Cruz should be just like, well, that's too bad because I'm going to help you all the same. I'm going to lobby for this on the Senate floor and I'm going to make sure this happens. No, you can't do that. You can't support my bill. Watch me. No.
What about that? What about that congresswoman who actually went out talking about kill Nancy Pelosi? She should be killed. What about that one?
Well, that's probably hyperbolic. One would hope.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
One would hope.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, until someone tells me something more, my working assumption for all the people who gave tours to whatever the day before or the people, my working assumption is that they didn't know anything, and that they were just doing tours as constituent service or whatever. And they probably do it on a not infrequent basis. So there was a lot of rhetoric going around. There's always a lot of rhetoric going around, a lot of inflammatory rhetoric, some would say. But I don't think merely saying, even kill Nancy Pelosi. Again, I was pointing this out from a legal perspective, that even something like that, you can encourage legal things in the broad or in the abstract. So it's legal to say it would be good for someone to kill Nancy Pelosi because you're not encouraging any specific person to do it. You're not aiding any specific person. You're just making a statement of what you think. It's a matter of opinion. So that's legal, as opposed to so it's not a threat. It's just a statement of this would be a good thing to occur. Would be an example. And you can do that for a lot of different things. And as I was pointing out on my stream earlier today, this is what Trump basically did during the campaign 5 years ago. Trump was saying it would be good for Russia to hack into Hillary Clinton's servers. And make that information available and expose it and blah, blah, the rest of it. So when you make these very broad-based, abstract sort of statements, then that's legal. That's just free speech.
But hold on. Honestly, too, we have to talk about there's like an element of intent here too. And I think you can make the argument that him saying that he lacked any of the requisite intent that actually Russia would actually do that or something like that. Because that's the first thing.
There's that factor too.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's the partisan about it, I think is always going to be here. But I think it's really all dependent if we stop yelling at each other and start listening to each other, because that's usually what it comes down to.
No, we can't do that.
Not as of yet. Not as of yet. So next up on the list. So
Nate, we haven't started a beef yet. We haven't started like a rap beef between you and I, where we could be, making videos dissing each other, laying down some diss tracks. We're doing this whole thing wrong.
That's true. That's true, because we're into the tea, and that's a good segue to the tea. We're about to go into the tea, full unabridged. So listen, I wanted to do this. I want to do something crazy.
Can you believe what Emily said? Oh, smack!
No, this stuff is crazy. Let's just call it what it is. It's freaking insane. Who knew, right? But I just want people to understand what the hell happened. This was a motion to dismiss. I thought this was a motion to dismiss. How the hell are we getting to hacking and death threats?
Yeah,
the case hasn't even started yet. Technically, somebody said the court doesn't have jurisdiction, and we got death threats. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I think
drop the case in 24 hours, and we got clocks going on here for a motion to dismiss on a defamation claim. Come on.
Yeah, no, I think Toddy Westbrook has forgotten that she's part of this case at this point, even though it's her complaint. It's like, because we haven't heard anything about Toddy Westbrook in a while. I mean, the levels of intrigue. It's so Mean Girls, Gossip Girls. It's so something, and the language that they use is so inflammatory. Oh my God, they really want to cut you to the quick, man. They really want to make you burn.
Listen. I think it's going to be a good idea for us just to give people just a recap of where the hell we at with this case legally, right?
Yeah, well,
legally.
Ostensibly, we're in a motion to dismiss for jurisdiction.
So let me just let everybody know to know how it usually goes.
Theoretically,
first, right? You serve. You go file your lawsuit, then you serve. You serve the other side.
Yeah.
Then look at the complaint, right? You got a complaint there. They look at the complaint. They do one or two things. They file a motion to dismiss. Then that motion to dismiss is decided whether the plaintiff has a case or not. Then they answer, and then you go to the whole trial and the whole thing, right? You got like another 6 months.
You have discovery in there somewhere
right?
too. So yeah, that's
actually after the motion to dismiss, and you answer, then you get discovery. So there's a whole process after that. So we're really at like step 3 of the process.
No, we're not. We're at step 1.5. Because we haven't gone to step 2, which would be the answer.
That's true.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to step 2.
We haven't even gone to step 2. This has all been step 1, and this has all been step 1.5 parts A, B, C, D, E, F, and it just goes on forever.
And why we're saying it's 1.5, because right now the plaintiff has made a complaint, and the defendant hasn't denied any of the allegations. They haven't denied it.
They haven't denied it. We haven't gone to step 2.
So they haven't denied it. And the answer, only thing they've said is, if all this stuff is true, if everything in the complaint is true, the plaintiff's case should be dismissed.
That's what they're supposed to do. Yeah.
Did that make sense?
Well, even in the motion to dismiss, they included an affidavit from Katie Joy.
No, we haven't gotten that far yet. We haven't gotten.
No, that was in the motion to dismiss.
All right, so that was in the motion to dismiss. Yes.
That Brown included an affidavit from Katie Joy, which didn't make any sense, because all Katie Joy can possibly say is, "Here's some other facts." And over here, I'm like a lawyer. I'm like, what do you mean there are other facts? What the hell are you talking about? There are no other facts except what Toddy says. That's the legal posture. So it didn't make any sense. But yeah, no, we've gone through how many we should just count how many declarations are there at this point. Lots, many.
But we're not even getting to the declarations. It just logically all flows, right? Complaint. Yes, if that's all that stuff is true, here's a motion to dismiss. You legally don't have a claim. You lose the motion to dismiss, then you answer, I deny the plaintiff's complaint. So technically, everything is supposed to be true. Like we've always been saying, right? We accept everything is true. We accept everything is true. Everybody keeps hitting us with we haven't saw the videos. We haven't learned the background, but all that stuff is irrelevant, right? Because whatever Toddy says is in the video, we're accepting that to be true.
Yeah.
So now, generally, you have that go out, you got somebody reply to that, then you got the cert, and then you're out, right? You get the reply to that one, and you're out, right? The response, and you're out. Judge makes a decision, and then that's it. We're good. Maybe 5-6 other documents put out. Usually you don't see any declarations from the defendant, because whatever the plaintiff said is true. So that's usually where you're at. Have I gotten anything wrong yet?
No, you've got it completely correct. It's like usually correct. Usually in a motion to dismiss, you have the motion, you have the response, and you have the reply, and that's the end of the sequence. And that's usually all you have. You don't usually have requests for a cert reply, and you certainly don't have. I don't even know how many precipices there are in this case. Many precipices with many addendums that aren't relevant to any legal issue. Incidentally, they're just all legal. They're all relevant to the. They're relevant to the attorneys fighting each other, because apparently now they're in a pissing match to measure whose dick is bigger. So that's lots of fun. And it's all relevant to, we've gone to the point where we're talking about Katie Joy's relationship to Lorianne's relationship to Nate.
Don't get there yet. Let's continue on the path of what's next after. So right now we're at a motion.
So long ago.
We're at a motion.
Chutes and ladders or something.
You're right. But this will get confusing. So we're at the stage of motion to dismiss, right? So then we started getting what? We started getting some affidavits from Saltsy. Like what happened after that, right? What happened after that?
Yeah, well, we got affidavits from Saltz, we got affidavits from Brown, we got affidavits, many of them actually, between the two of them. We got even more affidavits from Katie Joy. We got defamation. We got one from Lori Ann because she switched sides. That was lots of fun. She went from ride or die to just I'm going to kill you. So that was super fun. Betraying the cause.
Now you got to tell me, what did any of that have to do?
Nothing.
With the motion to dismiss.
Nothing, Nate. We have long ago forgotten about the motion to dismiss and long ago forgotten about the defamation. These are but figments or wisps in the wind at this point because they're so far gone. You know, it's like I could see them so clearly and now they're gone. They've evaporated in nothing. What does it have to do with the motion to dismiss? Fuck all.
No. Now I do want to say this. You know, for the craziness that are in the documents that we'll get to, we're not saying it's important, or we're not saying that, you know, saying those things are not wrong. We are just saying that legally, we don't see how any of the stuff that was filed after the reply is legally relevant to this motion to dismiss. Even the fact, because I know people say, well, Lori Ann said this, right? Lori Ann said this, and she was showing how Katie Joy was a liar. At this stage, those two things don't matter. And here's why. Because no matter what Katie says, no matter what Lori Ann says, we've already accepted what the plaintiff says as true. And we're saying if what she's saying in her complaint is legally sufficient to move forward. That's it. So Lori Ann can say Katie's lying. Katie can say Lori Ann's. It does not matter because we're judging the complaint as if it is true. That's why. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the judge. I'm the judge. I literally don't want to hear from any of these people because I long since ceased to care about any. I mean, I knew enough to decide the motion to dismiss long ago, Nate. I had the relevant cases. I had enough facts. I had enough to decide this issue many, many moons ago. And if I'm the judge at this point, one of the nice things about being a judge is that you can do so many things. And if I were the judge in this case, I'd be like, I just want to let you guys know that all these filings have been super interesting and all, but I'm ignoring most of them. I'm just going to ignore them completely because the issue, lest I forget to remind you, is jurisdiction. And I got the declaration from Santati. I've got your competing interests of law. I'm just going to go to legal research now. Stop talking. Stop filing things. I don't care. None of it matters. You guys need to figure out the rest amongst yourselves. I'm just going to go do this now and behave nicely. So, yeah.
Now, it gets to the point. Now we get from that to death threats. How the hell do we get from there to death threats to the attorney saying you got to leave the case in 24 hours or else? Like, how did we get here?
We got death threats. We got hacking. We got death threats to third parties. We got some stuff going to Emily. Apparently, have you gotten anything from you?
She's covering the case.
You're a friend / former friend of Katie Joy. Have you gotten anything for you? Any death threats or whatever?
No, I haven't gotten any death. Thank God, no death threats. No God. Thank God, no death threats. But this is interesting. You know, hacking attempts. And I'm like, damn, we're just at a motion to dismiss. Just imagine if we go to trial. We're gonna lose people. We're gonna lose people at a motion for summary judgment. Yeah. People will not make it through a motion for summary judgment. We can't get through a motion to dismiss. The second, you're right. We're at 2A.
No, 1A.
No, because 1 is the complaint. No, yeah. You're right. 1 is the complaint.
So we're like 1.5. We're 1 prime. We're 1 prime because we've gone to a different path. So we're not on the main tree. So we're at 1 prime. And this is 1 prime A, B, C, D, E. I'm looking at the docket right now just to see all the things that happened since the motion to dismiss. The motion to dismiss was 17. Yeah, let's share the screen. That'll be good. So we can just go through the docket and see what we have here, just to remind everyone where we were. Yeah, share that bad boy.
All right, here we go.
So this is just the docket. Okay, this is the record of all the things that have been filed in this case, right? So number 1 is of course the complaint, because what else would it be, right? So that's the complaint number 1, and then you have a whole bunch of ancillary orders about admitting attorneys for this limited time, who the judge is going to be, summons issues. You know, motion to preserve evidence. We have a declaration from Saltz about that. That's fine. blah, 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 blah. And then we got a transfer. We got a minute order reassigning the case to a different judge for whatever reason. And then we have number 17 in the series was the motion to dismiss. Where are we even at this point on this thing? We're at number 46, 47, whatever. So yeah, we're 30. We're 30 more entries on the docket from the motion to dismiss. That's the level of insanity that this has gone to somehow. So yeah, we have a motion to dismiss, 17. Then we have a bunch of declarations in response to that. We have a standing order, some more stuff, corporate disclosure statements, various statements, stipulated order regarding preservation of evidence. I forgot completely about that. It was like, yeah, we're going to agree to preserve evidence, and here's how we're going to do that. Then you have 27. You have the response, a bunch of declarations for some reason. Then precipe. Oh my God, why? Precipe, stipulation, reply finally to the motion dismissed at 33. Now, the reply is where this thing should have stopped.
That's it. That should be it.
But no, it continues on. Supplemental declarations, requests to leave to file a SIR reply, 37, precipe, 38, more declarations.
Damn.
Yeah. Another precipe with more declarations, a response to that. I mean, and a reply. I mean, God, why? Just make it stop. There should not be these many documents. We need
this
about
is
4
a motion
documents.
to dismiss.
This is theoretically all a motion to dismiss.
You know what? Can you pull up another defamation case to see like if it takes this long, like the Tucker Carlson one? Yeah, I'm assuming it's not for the motion to dismiss. The whole trial maybe, but not for a motion to dismiss. This is insane.
Let me see if I can pull up something on another docket.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah,
it was a motion. It was for same thing, defamation per se. But now it's like even with all this, reading through it, I still don't understand. I still don't get why you attack Emily.
I don't know, because it seems like the people are attacking the people with female energy, which I decidedly do not have. I don't know what it is, but like, yeah, Katie Joy has a icon or an emote. She has women standing for women or something, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like a lot of women standing for women. I feel like a lot of back throat cutting their heads off and a whole bunch of things.
What about Salsa? Well, hold on, Salsa's no woman, though. You know what I mean? And he's taking a hell of a lot of hits.
He's a principal guy, so I guess that gets him.
He's an alpha male.
Yeah, we have to bring him into the mess because he's a principal. Yeah.
Oh my God, and it's just so funny. Like, stop representing him within 24 hours, and you have from 8:20. Like, like what the hell? Like what the hell? Like what movies are these people watching?
Oh yeah, no. We got to go through this Tucker Carlson thing just to show you how incredibly insane this is. So I'm going to share this tab with you, okay? All right, just to show you how insane this is.
All right, here we go.
Now,
load up a little bit more.
This is McDougal versus the Fox Network. This case is over. It's over, okay? And so the first thing I want to remind you of is just where we are in the sequence, right? We're at 46. 46, right? So this is the docket from McDougal versus Fox Network. The case is over. If we scroll to the very bottom of the page,
hold on. Don't scroll to the bottom. Go back up.
No, I know. I'm trying to make a point.
All right, go ahead, make your point.
If we scroll to the very bottom, the last docket entry is 40.
Now, I just want to make this point. This was decided on a motion to dismiss. So this went through everything. And on a motion to dismiss was decided on a motion to dismiss. Tucker Carlson won.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, from case going forward to all the way through the dismissal, from the motion to dismiss, was 40 total.
Yeah.
Done. And we're 40. At 46, and we haven't even heard
46 with no end in sight. And this was decided on the merits within 40.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So let's see. So number 1 is the complaint, removal to federal court. Then we have a whole bunch of, fluff, pro hoc vice stuff, pro hoc vice certificate, some letter for some reason, pro hoc vice, motion pro hoc vice, and then like an order amended complaint, to ask an order an amended complaint. And, then we get that. And we get first amended complaints. Then we get the motion to dismiss, right? For 28 is the motion to dismiss the amended complaint from the other side. So the motion to dismiss pops up at 28. A memorandum of law related to that, which is part of the motion, but they're listed separately because they actually gave the motion and they also gave the thing separately, which is another way you can do this. So an order for scheduling, order the oral argument for that. And then there was a transcript of the proceedings. And then in order, it's like, there's no plausible claim, end of case. So we had a complaint, an amended complaint, a motion to dismiss. What else did we have? Was there anything more?
That was it, because this ended on the motion to dismiss, on the merits.
Yeah, there's an order to have it. The order have a hearing on it. They had an hearing on it, and the judge made a decision, and it was over. End of case. Well, that was quick.
Secret Squirrel, Uncivil Law needs to say, y'all, it makes this case worth following.
Y'all, you need to hit the like button. Y'all, you need to subscribe.
So we're 46 in, no end in sight.
Yeah, no end in sight.
All the attorneys have now, all the attorneys who are following the case have been, given threats. Other attorney, he's been, his kids have been doxxed. It's really insane. It's funny because it's so insane that it's almost like how, who could be doing this? Are the people who hate Katie, who wants to make things worse for her because something like this will make it worse? Is the people who love Katie? So you really just don't know. It's like a real mystery. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, a lot of this is because Katie Joy has been, to the contrary advice of her attorney, which we know for a fact she got because of her own tweets when she was talking to Lorianne at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So despite the advice of her attorney of you should keep your mouth shut, she decided to go in a different direction and has been tweeting and making videos and all the rest of it. And every time she opens her mouth, she hurts her case. And basically there's another price to pay and more stuff happened. Not that any of it's particularly relevant to the immediate issue. They're more relevant to long-term issues. But still, it's not helping. It's making their side lose credibility. So it's bad.
So, what about to the end effect of this motion to dismiss? So you think the judge is going to be more likely to want to keep this case? So hearing that we got 48, we're at number 47, and we haven't even discussed the motion to dismiss. Like none of those papers after 15 talked about motion to dismiss. Matter of fact, the 126 pages. Let's see how many times they'd mentioned jurisdiction and motion to dismiss. Right? That's 136
like 12.
Pages. No, the last one, literally the last one. Let me pull it up. Is it do they even mention the word motion to dismiss in that?
Let's find out. Let's take a look.
Let me pull it up. Here we go.
I'm looking too.
I'm trying jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is in document 4 times. 126 pages. The word jurisdiction is there 4 times.
Nice. Yeah, only obliquely, because it's like none of this has to matter at this point. Yeah, and apparently Katie is still making videos and still I'm half tempted. I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea. It's probably a bad idea. But I'm half tempted to watch one of these videos from Katie just to really give myself a flavor of it because it sounds like a train wreck. And I don't know if that would help me or hurt me in my analysis of things. If I watch a current one, it wouldn't be bad.
Hold on. Just to be clear, the 137 pages that were submitted, the word jurisdiction, you can actually type it out. It's only listed once. That's insane. 136 pages. Matter of fact, that's so shocking. I'm going to actually have to put that on screen. Because people may not believe that. They may be like, Nate, you just made that up. That's a number you just threw out there. You know what I'm saying? That's just something that just don't happen. In 136 pages, the word jurisdiction appears one time. So how does who do we blame? Is it the judge who's made this so, you know what I mean? Who do we
judge
blame?
hasn't done anything.
Has he not taken control of this?
She.
Or has she? I'm sorry. Has she not taken control of this?
Not really. Not so far. She had that Amazon Parlor thing, so maybe that was taking some of her time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is a mess.
This hearing to determine whether or not there should be a status conference is either scheduled for Monday or it might have been rescheduled for Tuesday. But either way, maybe that will turn into the status conference, turn into whatever. But it should be interesting.
So this is me control effing the document.
I called the court today to see if I can get access to it. I actually called them because they weren't responding to my emails.
Oh, so you got it. Well, this is me control effing it, and it's only one time. Jurisdiction, 137 pages. The word jurisdiction is only mentioned one time. Yeah. Let me see if motion to dismiss. It's the word motion in here. All right, I got motion for parts. And dismiss is mentioned three times. 3 times for motion to dismiss. So
it's not relevant to this thing, which tells you.
And this is 137. I thought they had page limits here.
Well, technically, the motion is only within the page limit. All of its attachments and exhibits. It's within the page limits. They just got past the page limits with exhibits.
Let me give you a 1-page document and 400 pages of exhibits. Yeah, so I don't know where we go from here. I don't know how you guys cover this case because there's nothing relevant here. The word jurisdiction is in the doc. This is a motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction. And I got 100. I'm looking at 137 pages that has the word jurisdiction in one time, and that word jurisdiction is in a footnote. It is in a footnote. It's not even in the document. That's insane. Look at that. It's in a footnote. That's a footnote.
Ostensibly, I'm supposed to be a legal education channel, but I'm not sure how much legal education I'm providing or getting done with some of this stuff. But I'm pot committed at this point, Nate. This is my life now.
Well, hey. This is it's where we're at. It's where we're at. I personally just don't understand how we got here because it just honestly just makes no sense. It almost makes me think, what are we? It almost makes you think. It's both sides, I think, are to blame a little bit, not for obviously the horrid things that are happening, but just for keeping this going on. I think Saltsy. At first it was, you throw a couple of pot shots out there, but at a point in time, you got to be like, if I'm, Lori Ann, like with all of a sudden on a motion to dismiss. When's the last time you heard of a civil case with a motion to dismiss where you got snitches flipping? You know what I'm saying? I got a snitch that flipped on a motion to dismiss. What the hell is she testifying to anyway? We're saying everything you're saying is true. We're the snitch. Well, we don't need the snitch. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, nothing about this makes sense. Everything is in some sort of mirror world where the rules are made up and points don't matter. Yeah,
we just had a witness flip on a motion to dismiss.
Yeah,
to say something. This is like, and to be honest with you, I don't want to call Mary, even though I did just call her that. I'm not saying she's snitching. She flipped on her friend. I don't know, whatever you call somebody who flips on a friend.
I look forward to you making an affidavit against me at some point in the future. That should be fun.
You better not say you never knew me. If you ever get in a trial, I want you to say, this guy, I knew him.
That guy.
No. What? I solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. I knew him well. Here's all our communications.
No,
really?
No, it's all lies.
No,
yeah, man. Here's the video proof. No. It's deep faked. That's what it is. Deep fake. Deep fake video and deep fake audio. Yeah, let's go with that. That's good. Yeah.
So we've dispensed with the T, right? The T is gone. The T
Thank
is
God.
done. But but I do want to say this. It's for those of you if you're out there, honestly, like death threats and bringing people's children into the conversation. It's like, think about what we're doing here. This is a motion to dismiss on a defamation claim that's likely not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about. It's like, I think sometimes people don't understand where we're at and what we're doing. That's where we're at. This thing has become so much bigger than what it really is. If a judge was to walk into that courtroom and say, everything after the reply to motion to dismiss, I'm not considering anything else other than the 4 documents: complaint, the motion to dismiss, and the reply. That's it. Then it's really at that point where a lot of this stuff just seems unnecessary. But I do want to now see where it goes, because if this is not happening and people are, because I think Emily said that the law enforcement was involved, people may be criminally charged, so we'll see where that goes, because people can get got. I think a lot of people think they can't get got, but they can get got. So we'll see. Do you think there may be any type of repercussions for that? Because they're talking about having they said FBI. A lot of people like to throw around 3-letter words, FBI. We reported it to the FBI, but that really doesn't mean anything. But local law enforcement is involved in all that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think they're more likely with some private investigators to get some information, and maybe from the judge, but probably less likely from formal law enforcement, if I had to be honest about it.
That's cool. Oh, people say I'm frozen up. I'm freezing up. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to our other let's do you want to do the last 2, Dominion, Amazon. I mean, Dominion versus everyone, and Parler versus
Dominion
Amazon.
versus everyone.
So let's start with Parler v. Amazon. So you called this one right, as most of the time you do. What made you so confident that
I actually read the complaint and I read the response.
But hold on. But Nick came out the other way, Nick Recchietta, and so did Viva. So I think there seemed to be something there, because I'll say this: for those of you who don't know, the Parler v. Amazon could Amazon cut ties with Parler immediately after Parler had he was calling for the death of Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. They had posts like that violated Amazon's policies.
Yeah.
The contract said that Amazon could do one or 2 things. They could let them cure, give them 30 days of cure, or they can suspend immediately. They chose to suspend immediately. Parler then went to court to try to get a TRO. The judge converted the TRO to a preliminary injunction. Both sides gave testimony. And at the end of the day, Parler's whole argument that Twitter was in league with, Amazon was in league with Twitter to hurt Parler, and that Parler had the same stuff on it that Twitter had, and Amazon didn't ban Twitter or cancel Twitter. The big thing is that Amazon didn't host Twitter, so their whole argument was really just moot, and that's where it was at. I'm sorry. Did I? I'm hoping I didn't shoot up too much.
The issue ultimately came down to the contract, because there was 2 different provisions for termination. There was one that required 30-day notice and one that didn't. And Parler, somewhat very suspiciously, kept referring to clause 1. It's like, well, we're entitled to 30 days notice, and never, as the judge pointed out in their response finally to this thing, it's like, yeah, I kind of never mentioned part 2, because part 2 allows them under some circumstances to act immediately. Those circumstances include any circumstance under which they could suspend, and they can suspend for any breach of contract. So that gives them quite an infinite number of latitude, and then went on from there. I'm like, yep, it totally makes sense. So I didn't see what Nick said, to be honest, and I didn't see what Barnes says. First of all, I don't watch Barnes at all, period, because I've gotten tired from him long ago. I watch what Nick says, and I think I'm going to have him on my channel tomorrow as a guest. So maybe I'll ask him about it tomorrow, and we can have a discussion about it. It might be a good talking point. Yeah. Because I don't want to talk ill of someone that I respect without hearing what they have to say about it.
No, if you don't know the argument, then I wouldn't suspect you. Yeah, I just assumed, because I know when we were on, we talked about it, and his argument was it's down the realm of free speech, and the fact the Twitter Parler dynamic, which I do understand.
Barnes lost the plot on the election lawsuits. I mean, it didn't make any sense, Nate.
Which one? You talking about what are you talking about for Barnes for the
election, for all the election lawsuits filed by
Trump. Yeah. Yeah,
or
yeah,
is that
yeah.
organization and stuff like that. I'm like, all
He
those
was off a
lawsuits.
lot of those. Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, no. And I don't blame Vivi as much because he's not as familiar with U.S. law. But Barnes was leading him down a very wrong path, and I've been somewhat critical of Barnes, as people have noted. And I don't watch him anymore at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I don't know. I think Barnes was, because don't forget Barnes was wrapped up with the Trump team and all that stuff too. Like, Donald Trump Jr. followed Barnes, for instance. So it may have been harder. I'm thinking he could have been looking at it from that perspective, because a lot of times you're looking at things from it's funny. Doesn't Al Gore say that you know it's easier to find something when you're being paid to find it. So I think sometimes that could have gone down.
It did wonders for Barnes' growth. It did wonders for Viv's growth, and it did wonders for Nick's growth. I mean, Nick Riccietta was stuck at about 89,000 subs for a really long time, something in that neighborhood, 85, 89, something like that, and couldn't get past 100,000. He put out a whole bunch of videos, basically, towing the far right line, and he went up to like 150,000. He gained 50,000 subs over it. And I'm sitting over here like, I appreciate the fans that love me, but those 50,000 subs look real tempting. I was like, if I could go far right enough, I could make these people happy and they'd subscribe to my channel. Unfortunately, I'd have to sell my soul. So there's that. So I don't know. I'm not speaking again for Nick. Maybe he has different thresholds for some. So it's not a criticism of him. But so I couldn't do it.
But I don't know. I think also too, even just to touch on Nick real quick, he also changed his strategy. Short videos, different thumbnails, like his whole strategy on how to produce his content changed. So now instead of having all those live streams, he has now 5-minute chunk videos that are quick and to the point, very catchy, hot thumbnails, hot titles. So when I see a Nick video, I know it's Nick, and it's always catchy, election fraud, blah, blah, blah. So I think it may be, like you're saying too, it may be going a little farther right, but he's definitely changed his strategy for that.
That's true too. We shouldn't short shift that. That's fair.
Here goes. Nate, ask Uncivil Law's opinion about the Tacoma cop thing. Want to see what he says. So that's the one where the cops go through the crowd and run over the people. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to know.
I haven't seen that since I saw the video the one time it basically happened. But is this the one where they were pulled up at basically an intersection and we're kind of plowing through the intersection? Is that the Tacoma cop?
No, this is the one where the cop goes to a street racing event. You know how they do the street racing event?
Yeah.
And when the cop comes, the crowd goes around them and starts hitting the car like, oh! And the cop, he first he backs up a little bit, then he hits the gas. He really guns the car and it shoots forward, blowing, knocking everybody to the side, and he drives over 2 people.
Ooh, that's not so great. But yeah, I mean, I other than the running over two people part, but my immediate thought is, I mean, do you have the video of this? Can we watch it together? Is that possible? Can we pull it up on stream?
Yeah, but this is going to demonetize this video. This thing.
Well, you don't have to if it's going to demonetize you. I don't want to make you do that.
Yeah, I wish you can watch it. It's the last video on my channel.
Yeah, fair enough. But my thought is this cop is surrounded, and we've definitely seen situations where cars are surrounded and the people are pulled out of the cars and they're beaten up and, all the rest of it. So, when you have a whole bunch of people, getting out the car and banging on the windows and banging on stuff, there's a threat there. There's an imminent threat there, especially with a large crowd. And because a large crowd can do a lot of damage. So I think you could reasonably perceive an imminent threat, which means that you could reasonably respond to an imminent threat. And, probably better to just put on the gas a little bit rather than gun it. Because you have a heavy vehicle, people will probably get out of the way, give them a chance to move. But my immediate thought is it's probably within the justification of use of force.
Yeah, I don't know, because I showed a whole bunch earlier today. This one I don't, because, and again, the standard would be what a reasonable officer would think in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a reasonable person, which I think makes it a little bit different in the sense of, when I just know when there was one time, well, actually, it's 2 times it happened to us, but there was one time where I've been in a situation where there was a large crowd of people. They're not really cop friendly, and they're banging on the side of the car, oh, whatever. And I'm just thinking, I didn't feel frightful enough where I just gunned the car, but I did have somebody else in the car with me. even though it was a protest, it wasn't really, wasn't like this guy's situation. The fact of the matter is, we tell officers to use deadly physical force when deadly physical force is imminent, or when against them or someone else. Mm-hmm. It's not unless you that definition of imminent. The farther you have to look in advance for it to be imminent, the harder it is to connect the two. So to say that the cop in the car, no glass broken, I think the only thing that damaged in the car was the side window. It's just hard to say that was an imminent threat when people are hitting at the outside of the car. So, and it's supposed to be known as the last resort. Now, does people have to break the car windows or do anything? No, but it does lead to the understanding that a reasonable officer would find it to be an imminent threat. So, and going 5 miles an hour, that, like you're saying, also will move the crowd. You got a 5,000-pound vehicle going through people is just like literally driving through water, and they would have moved to the side. So but again, I don't know what that cop saw in that car. He could have saw somebody with a gun. He could have. There's a lot of different things. So is it possible? Yeah, but I would need more, because what that cop did by shooting that car, because don't forget, the people around the car who are beating the car aren't the ones he ran over. The people who are on the side of the car, the back of the car, and even to the front, you're really talking about just maybe a few, 3 or 4 people really in front of the car.
That's unavoidable in the situation. He even tried to retreat first by backing up. So I mean, there's that too. He tried to retreat and he couldn't retreat.
No, I'm giving you that, but I'm saying the people who actually hit in the car weren't the ones that he ran over. It was actually people farther down, because he was trying to get away. So the people he ran over weren't the people who were actually hitting the car. Those are people farther down, actually just crossing the street.
Yeah, so but he's exercising. Yeah, but that's the intent follows the bullet the other way around. So if I intend to shoot A and I hit B with the right intent, then I'm guilty of murder of B, because my intent to murder A transfers to B. But that works the other way around. That works the other way around. If I'm justified in my force against A, but in attempting to use that force, I hit B, I'm justified in using my force against B. So my intent transfers both ways. So if I'm trying to flee from the people who are hitting the car, that's person A. So I'm using my intent to escape, and in doing so, I hit person B. Then I am justified against them people, even though they weren't involved.
But that's only to the extent. All right. So let's say, for instance, I go to a school, a kid's school, and I see a man with a gun. Does that give me a right to shoot toward the kids? It depends. It depends, right? It depends on where the suspect's at, that type of thing. And if I can see there's a great risk of threat to the people around that person, right? Yeah. I can't then just lay down fire. And even in this particular situation, true, I have people around me, but also if I know there's a whole bunch, there's hundreds,
Well, there were also people in front of him at the time.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but you have all those other people. Right. Who are there too. So now it's almost like saying, well, then I can just do what I can do to save, because at a point it does have to be reasonable, right? You can't just shoot into a crowd because you're afraid of one person.
Yes, that's true. But if in the scenario where this person is, if we take it again to a gun situation, if a person is using deadly force against me and I use deadly force against them, and I'm acting reasonably in my doing so, then the fact that in the background there's a whole bunch of people who are uninvolved is immaterial legally, because I'm using force against the person. Now, if there's a huge crowd, if there's one person shooting at me from a crowd, let's say there's a crowd of marchers. I don't know. Let's say it's a crowd of marchers, and I'm a police officer, or I'm just a random guy with a Trump hat on, and someone at the front of the crowd pulls out their gun and starts shooting at me. All right. If I respond by shooting back at him, the fact there's a huge crowd behind him is irrelevant, because I'm still trying to engage the person who's hurting me. So I'm justified in my use of threat force against that person. Therefore, if I hit someone in the crowd, I'm covered.
I agree with that, but I think each situation still has to be judged as on the merits of that situation, because like you're saying, you're right. If it's a quick situation where you're firing and they're firing, yes, it's true. But if you're in a situation where the person's in the middle of a crowd of people and somebody's shooting at you, you don't know where the shot is coming from, but you know somebody's shooting from you from that direction, and maybe even see the person within the crowd, and you start firing back at that person, I don't think that's reasonable. Because at a point you have to, you can't put other people's at danger because you fear that one person. Because at a point, you know what I mean? It's like it's almost like spraying into a crowd because you're scared that someone may hurt you, which I do understand. But I don't know.
Well, then you're saying that the use of force isn't imminent, and that makes sense. Yeah. So I've been watching a couple of videos in the background of this while we've been talking to see a little bit more what we're talking about. And my initial thought is, he's being surrounded by a crowd. There are people in front of him. So they're pounding at least on three sides of the car that I can see in the videos. I don't know if anyone was behind him or not. Couldn't see in any of the videos that I saw, at least initially. But it looked like there were people on the driver's side, on the front, and on the passenger side. It looks like they were beating on the car and they were posing a threat. And also you have to put yourself in the mind of the officer.
Correct.
As well. So his subjective intent, and also for that matter, reasonable person in the car.
No. His subjective intent doesn't matter. It's
for self-defense. It might depends on the state.
No, not for Graham v. Conner. The Supreme Court specifically said for use of force, it's an objective intent, a reasonable officer, not the subjective intent of that officer.
All right, fine. So let's go with objective intent. So you're a reasonable officer in that situation.
A reasonable officer. Similar circumstances.
Yeah, great. I understand. So you're a reasonable officer in that situation. There's a huge crowd. You're trying to get through. Now they're beating on your windows, beating on your doors. Mm-hmm. You know that there's been, a lot of violence recently. That's relevant, I would think, to the officer's objective knowledge.
Well, they give you factors. The first factor is the nature of the call. This was a street racing event.
Yeah.
The second factor is resisting arrest. Well, obviously, you're going to a street racing event and it turns into, it's not even a protest. People are just starting to bang on the car door, right? Because they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
So, and then third is the serious threat. Was there a serious threat to the officer's life or somebody's life in the community? So, or is them surrounding the car, banging on the car, a serious threat? And the police department, their policy says it has to be a serious imminent threat. So was this a serious imminent threat to this officer's life that allowed him to use deadly physical force to overcome that threat?
Yeah, well, number 3 is definitely driving this.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. That's the legal question. And the question is, like, how long does he have to wait for that to manifest? Does he have to wait till, like, the window starts being broken? Or, I mean, that's a reasonable question. So I'll take the officer's side of this equation. I'll be that guy. I'll stand up. I'll stand up for big police.
No, I think you can. Like, I don't think it's wrong to take either side. But what I do think is that it's just because some people assume that it's so that a police officer, just for being scared, can then do something like this. But it's really not. It's what
definitely requires a little bit more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what an officer feels. So an officer, a reasonable officer in that car, if you're saying that the force, that whatever they were doing outside had to be so great that a reasonable officer would use deadly physical force. And what I'm talking about is pulling out his gun and shooting into that crowd. Would a reasonable officer had done that? That's where I would say,
Well, I look forward to the riots in 3 weeks when the the grand jury of the DA says they're not going to indict him. That should go over real well.
Well, it's just hey, it's just like the one in Atlanta that we both disagree with, right?
Well, the one in Atlanta was a lot fucking clearer.
This is
more ambiguous, so we can have an argument about it. Like, I'm not like saying you're insane. I understand. Like,
no, there are people. Like,
I can argue the prosecution. I could also argue the prosecution's side in good faith. In that Atlanta one, the prosecution's completely full of shit.
In Atlanta, he got indicted.
Totally and absolutely full of shit. It's total crap.
Yeah, I mean,
even Breonna Taylor's closer because you have 45 minutes of uninterrupted video showing you every fucking thing that happened. Even Breonna Taylor is closer, and we both think that's pretty crap too. So that Atlanta thing was like total bullshit.
Yeah, the Atlanta thing was pretty bad. And it's funny because
that's the worst one so far.
The one I think I think the one that is the most tragic is Ahmaud Arbery. Because now, I don't know if you saw the new video for that one, which was kind of sick.
Ooh, there's new video? No.
Yeah, there's new video for Ahmaud Arbery that came out. Where
they have to have the whole escape this debate again. I don't want to do that again.
Because people for some reason think that it's that's anytime you walk into a house, it's a burglary. It's like no,
it's not.
That's criminal trespass. Burglary. You need to have some intent to do something else. To usually to commit a crime inside that dwelling. But it's it is what it is. But let's go through. So Parler, we did Parler Amazon, so now it's Dominion versus everybody. Now the question is, what do you think is the strength of Dominion's case versus Rudy Giuliani?
Well, I haven't read the one against Rudy yet, but I read the one against Lynn Wood, and I thought their case was really, really good. Now, I realized that they have to get past public figure status, which means that they have to prove actual malice. But I thought, at least in my opinion, that Dominion did a really solid job of showing enough stuff to get to actual malice. They really, really laid it out. And I'm like, yeah, this is what actual malice looks like. So I haven't read the one against Rudy, but I'm guessing without reading it, it reads very similar to the one against Linwood. So my prediction, even without reading it, is Rudy's screwed. Because Linwood is totally screwed.
Everybody's asking about what's the Atlanta case. What was the name of the guy in Atlanta?
I can never remember.
Rashard Brooks.
Yeah, there you go. Rashard Brooks. There you go.
Rashard Brooks. So yeah, we were talking about Ahmaud Arbery was in Georgia too, but Rashard Brooks
that was also Atlanta, I think.
Rashard. Oh, I thought it was Georgia. I didn't think it was Atlanta. Oh, maybe it is. So with Dominion seems to have tried to overcome actual malice by sending those letters with all the evidence. Hey, this is why everything you're saying is false. They sent it supposedly to Newsmax. I don't know if you saw the video I did with Newsmax. Did the whole mea culpa at the end and said, yes, it's all fake news. Don't worry about it. Sidney Powell and Rudy said, F you, we're all in. So do you think that these defamation cases...
I did say Linwood. I meant Sidney Powell. The chat's correcting me. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I'm assuming Linwood's on the list too.
Yeah, Linwood's probably not too far away either. That's the difference.
Linwood's on the list still.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
So at this point in time, what do you think? How do you think the strength of the case is?
I think it looks really, really good for Dominion. I think it looks really, really good. Now, you and I both know that passing actual malice is really fucking hard because you have to show that you actually knew it was false or you recklessly disregard the truth. And that's pretty hard. Now, that being said, however, I thought Dominion really did it. I mean, that complaint must have cost Dominion, I don't even know, because they stringed so many things together and found so many videos. I mean, just for the complaint alone was probably $50,000.
That's a professional complaint.
It was worth every dime they paid for it because it basically wrote the whole case. I'm like, oh my God, we're already done. I read the complaint. I'm like, we're done. We can go to verdict, baby. We're done. And it's like when you can read it, I gave it one of the highest estimates I ever gave it. I'm like, I said 95% that they're going to win against Sidney Powell.
Wow.
And normally I don't give odds that high. I'm like, but I'm reading this. I'm like, holy God, they just continue laying it out and laying it out.
You got to look at Rudy.
Like, well, maybe they made it now, and they keep going and they keep going. Well, maybe they made it now, and then you keep reading. It's like, well, definitely made it now, and they keep going, and you're like, another threshold. They keep going, you hit another threshold. They keep going, you hit another threshold. So it's like every time, like in your mind, you're like crossing thresholds, and like Jesus Christ, you made your standard like 3 thresholds ago, and you're still writing. So I thought it was incredible. What they did with the Sidney Powell thing. Now, Sidney Powell's best defenses are probably is clinging on to litigation privilege for dear life is what Sidney Powell's going to try to do. That's the best defense I can see, but it's not going to work. And I can't see any defense that's going to work. I thought about them all. It's like, okay, actual malice's defense is going to fail.
You think actual malice? You think they got actual malice?
Yeah.
Because the letter, I think the letter alone, because that's why they send the letter. They send the letter to give you actual malice. Here's the reason why you're lying.
Yeah. And even more impressive to me was like that all the things that were coming back from the state officials, like there's nothing here, and they keep going, keep doubling down.
Doctored evidence, fake.
Even though the court cases are getting dismissed, even though the election officials, including Republicans, are saying like there's just nothing here, and keep doubling down. I'm like,
what about the fake expert witness who was never in the army, the doctor documents, like it was just back to back to back. So Sidney's gone. So Giuliani, he's got the role. It's the same exact thing. They have him. I mean,
it's got to be. It's got to be.
No, it's even worse for Giuliani because Giuliani, they make a couple of different arguments for Giuliani. One of their arguments is that for actual malice is that Giuliani not only knew what he was saying was false. When he was asked whether he would also say it in court, he wouldn't call it fraud. So while he was in front of the cameras, he was saying fraud. But when he went to court where it mattered,
and the court asked, "Are you saying fraud?" They said, "No, we're not saying fraud."
We're not alleging fraud.
So he knew it was false because he couldn't say it in court. Right there,
exactly. If you know you have even a good faith basis to say it, you can say it in court because you do. That's when your litigation privilege was hit, right? He could have said, "Yeah, this is about fraud," but since he didn't have
right.
a good faith
I hadn't thought about that particular angle, but you're completely right.
Yeah, because you're even more. You even have more of a license to say it in court. And then the second piece they were saying with Rudy is that they obviously gave him the letter and everything, but then after they gave him the letter and told him, he started hawking products like hey, Dominion's this and hawking and selling products. Saying, hey, buy gold because Dominion is this, and doing that type of thing. So they're saying that he more or less lost that litigation privilege because he's doing it on his own podcast, on his own YouTube channel. So Dominion,
I don't think that's necessarily dispositive in and of itself, but
no, because they're trying to say he wasn't doing it in that litigation piece, but he was doing it more in the sense of in trying to hawk these products. But they have all these different line items. Things that he's trying they have all these different line items of things that he was that he had said everything that they have for Sidney Powell they more or less have for Rudy Giuliani. So, and why do you think they're suing everybody for $1.3 million? 1.3 million.
Well, didn't they sue Rudy for a slightly different number?
No, both of them for 1.3 billion.
Well, they tried to calculate it. They actually came up with half of that is punitive, so half of it is punitive. So it's really 600. It actually came out to an exact $1,000 amount. It's like 651,358 or some exact number that they came out with. But they actually tried to justify that by showing some things in their numbers. It's like, well, is this an inflated number? And it might be an inflated number, but they tried to justify that. It's like, here's how much we spend on extra security. Here's how much we spend on our PR to try to rehabilitate our stuff. Here's how much we've lost in business and contracts and stuff like that. And the number amounts to 651,358,000. And I'm like, okay. So I'm looking at this and what they're saying, and I'm like, because normally when you see numbers that large, you normally are thinking, oh man, this is just a reach. This is just a PR thing. And you look at them like, no, these are actually plausible numbers. It might actually be that big.
Yeah. You know what? I think at this point in time, it's like you got like what do you do? It's like Sidney Powell. I think they just got her dead to rights, and I think Rudy at the same. I
don't know.
Point,
I can't think of any defenses.
I just
maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough. I can't think of anything.
But the thing is that not only will she lose if she loses the case, she loses her license too, right? Because you're out there defaming people.
Well, I think Sidney Powell's license is done. I think Lynn Wood's license is done. I'm not so 100% sure about Rudy.
Well, Rudy, they're going after his case too. Well, don't forget about if this defamation case goes in, because now you're breaking the ethical rules. You're saying that because don't forget defamation is about false statements. That means you've made false statements. You got in court.
Yeah.
So I think
Rudy was the man. It breaks my heart too much.
Yeah, I still don't know. He's still out there saying Dominion is corrupt. So what can you do?
Yeah.
So
that might come to that. We'll see. I mean, there's a private bar association in New York that's trying to kick him out. But whether the actual bar actually goes after Rudy, who knows?
Well, that's the state. No, I think they have filed charges against Rudy in the state. But it's sad because, like you're saying, he was a lion. But what can you do? Lynn Wood's already been kicked out of Delaware. And it's going to be tough for both Lynn and what's her name?
I'm not sure what the hell happened to Sidney Powell.
But I'm saying both of their practices really heavily rely on pro hac vice. So it's going to be hard for them to get admitted to other places, especially with this type of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Any chance that the Dominion case will be broadcast? It would be great to Rudy break down in public again.
It's extremely unlikely because it's federal court.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Federal courts are very antsy about that for reasons I don't 100% understand. Same problem I'll have with the hearing for the Paulson Westbrook case. I'm trying to get access to that, but I'll almost certainly not be allowed to rebroadcast it, so I'll have to figure something else out. But yeah, I mean, federal courts don't do that. You get transcripts. That's about the best you'll be able to do.
Yeah. And that's the reason why, because they want you to buy the transcripts. They want you to buy the transcripts.
Yeah.
They're expensive. Those transcripts are expensive.
Yes, they are. Disturbingly so.
Yeah, that's how they make their money, baby. Well, listen, everybody, we hope you guys liked our updates for the hot tea and the hot mess that we call the law here on YouTube. Don't forget to join my brother Uncivil Law on his channel. You do every how many videos do you put out a week?
Lots.
Yeah, because you put out like a video every day, right?
I put out a normal one every day, and I do a live stream many days. I've been doing this FBIT thing a lot of days, so lots.
So every day, this guy has a new video coming out. I'm trying to get my game up, but and I see you got the nice little graphics on and everything, so it's coming along really nice. I'm trying to get to that level, but obviously, as long as I got a microphone and a camera, I'm going to continue to talk. So, but with all that said, I hope you guys stay well, and thanks for stopping by. We will see you next week. We'll probably be on Kirk's channel, 9 o'clock on Wednesday. So talk to you guys soon.